This is ITN News Report, the latest on the Gulf War report for this early Monday morning, January 21st, 1991. Good morning to you all. I'm Peter Wiggins at the time now. It's 1:15 in the morning time. I'm Peter Wiggins, and here's what's happening on the Gulf War. Saudi Arabia last night faced its most terrifying blitz since the start of the Gulf War when 10 Scud missiles were fired at Riyadh and Dhahran. An American military spokesman said that one landed harmlessly in the Gulf War, the rest were intercepted and destroyed by Patriot missiles. The Scud missiles were said to be the current conventional warheads. No one was reported killed or injured. In the first attack at about 9:50 p.m., 3 missiles were shot down some of the 17 miles from the eastern city of Dhahran, home of one of the Saudi Arabia's biggest air bases. In simultaneous attacks 3 hours later, 2 missiles were intercepted near Dhahran and 4 were destroyed at the capital Riyadh. While
This business. Suits. New episodes return
was coming in under attack for the first time since the war began. Air raid sounds also sounded twice in the neighborhood of Bahrain. And Riyadh, a powerful blast like an earthquake was felt at a Hyatt Regency hotel opposite the defense ministry, and reporters found a 10-foot crater on the side of a former insurance office. There was speculation that this might have been caused by the Fort Patriot that misfired, but an American spokesman, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Gallagher, had no information on this. There was widespread panic in the 2 Saudi cities. American troops donned chemical warfare suits at the Dhahran International Hotel and tried to restore order as the crowd pushed in front of the revolving doors and raced to the cellar with their gas masks. The attack on Riyadh, which is about hundreds of miles from the front line, represents a widening in the war, and it is seen in diplomatic circles as a displaying the dip of bitterness felt by Iraq against the Saudi royal family for its willingness to open the country as a base for the American-led coalition force. Israel and Saudi Arabia appear to be equal enemies in Iraq, as one diplomat said. On Friday, American forces used the Patriot missiles for the first time in the battle to shoot down a single Scud aimed at Dhahran. The wide publicity given to the success had been believed to have been shown Saddam Hussein that his coordinates were correct. But Pete Williams, a Pentagon spokesman, said yesterday Scud missiles and intended target had not been established. It's hard to tell precise where they were aimed, Mr. Williams said in Washington. The point is where they got near Dhahran, we shot them down. They attacked close to the command center of the operation. Desert Storm put in a depth that General Norman Schwarzkopf earlier said on a statement that provided only for mobile missile launchers remained out of 20 originally held by Iraq. U.S. military sources claim that once a mobile launcher is used by the enemy, it can be fairly reliable trace and it's right. Some intelligence estimates suggested, however, that Iraq had many more than 20 mobile launchers at the beginning of the war, maybe as many as 100. General Schwarzkopf, the Allied commander, said yesterday that besides the 16 mobile launchers destroyed, the bombing campaign had wiped out Iraq's 4 primary nuclear research facilities and inflicted considerable damage on its chemical and biological weapons facilities. I have very high confidence that those nuclear reactors have been fairly damaged and will not be effective for quite some years. He also said that the Allies had almost completely taken out of the Iraq force. Ground Couture radar, but thought that Saddam might be husbanding Israeli resources for use later in the campaign. Saddam apparently confirmed that in the broadcast on Baghdad radio and television, saying that only a fraction of his air force had been used so far. The Iraqi leader said that his forces were fighting with heroism and courage, which is unprecedented in the history of war. Our ground forces have not entered the battle so far, and only a small part of our air force has been used when the confrontation begins with an all-out battle with all kinds of weapons and arms. The extent of the death in the enemy ranks will increase. A military spokesman in Saudi Arabia said last night that 16 Allied aircraft had been lost to some 7,000 soldiers since the war began. The American jets and 2 British Tornadoes were reported lost yesterday. The spokesman said 15 Iraqi planes had been destroyed and 40 Iraqis were killed. The Iraqis claimed, however, that they had shot down 154 Allied aircraft. General Schwarzkopf said that he was astounded and delighted by the low level of Allied casualties, but added that it would be unrealistic to expect such a low rate when the ground battle began. It was too early to predict whether a ground war might be avoided, but it was a possibility. Allied leaders made clear yesterday that the bombardment was likely to continue for several weeks before any land offensive. American bombers launched their heaviest raid so far, switching in the main thrust of the assault from military installation of Saddam's elite Republican Guard troops. FX to destroy Iraqi missile launches will remain the priority. But Allied bombers will not try to take out military personnel in Kuwait and southern Iraq, as well as striking at tanks, artillery, and ammunition storage sites. The aims of the sovereign the opposition in events of a grand war. John Majors, who spoke with President Bush on the telephone for 20 minutes yesterday, told reporters that there might Last several weeks for the air war as the continued day and night bombardment of the Iraqi war machine to begin and to damage the destructive capacities that it's expected this period of the war will continue for a considerable period of time. Here.
To CM Punk.
What? If anything, Punk owes me an apology.
And this is ground force American Patriot anti-missile launchers that try to test the defense against Scud missiles. In position to protect Tel Aviv yesterday. Here. Some American, British, and other Allied airmen reported missing during the raids on Iraq had been paraded in Baghdad as prisoners of war. 7 men shown on Iraqi television yesterday included 2 prisoners who were questioned about the war and in subdued voices gave answers that were clearly scripted in them. The incident where missing of the University U.S. servicemen captured by the Vietnam War in the Viet Cong. A reporter with American Cable News Network who saw the interview said that one of the airmen had been bandaged and had 2 others had bruised faces. Other 7 airmen, 2 were said to be British, 3 American, and 1 Italian and 1 Kuwaiti. The Defense Ministry in London said last night that 2 prisoners were believed to be Flight Lieutenant John Peters, the pilot, age 29, and his navigator, Flight Lieutenant Adrian Nicol, who bailed out of the Tornado GR-1 on the first day of the war after an engine caught fire. The ministry had asked the International Committee of the Red Cross to investigate reports that the 2 crewmen had been held by the Iraqis. The ministry further confirmed of the names of 4 other missing RAF men last night: Wing Commander Nagler Ellison, age 39, Flight Lieutenant Robert Collier, age 42, David Waddington, age 24, and Robert Stewart, age 44. Wing Commander Ellison, who lived in married quarters on RAF Marham in Norfolk. His wife Kate is a son of Group Captain James Ellison of Fulbourn, Cambridgeshire, at Battle of Britain. Pilot Lieutenant Nicol, age 27, from North Shields, and Ware said to hear during the Iraqi television interview, "I think the war should be stopped and we should go home." Iraq identified another prisoner as Kay Hunter, age 46. U.S. Marine pilot the Pentagon enlisted Chief Warrant Officer Guy Hunter, age 46, as among the missing. The total number of Allied aircraft lost during the raids in Iraq and Kuwait is now 16, consists of 9 American, 4 British, 1 Italian, 1 Saudi, and 1 Kuwaiti. The United States had 12 airmen missing. Britain has 4 other crewmen missing, after the Ministry of Defense confirmed. Thus, that the crew of the 4th Tornado GR-1 was lost yesterday was picked up safely. 2 Americans were named as Flight Major Cliff David, age 39.
Your stomach. Try Pepto to go. It's Pepto-Bismol.
Commander of the squadron, the BMO-2, and Lieutenant Jeffrey Morton Zone, age 23, from the U.S. Navy Squadron 35, based on the U.S. Saratoga Courier. According to the Iraqi news agency, Major Davis said, "My OV-10 plane, a turboprop reconnaissance aircraft, was shot down by a surface-to-air missile inside Iraqi airspace in Kuwait City." Lieutenant Zone was reported to have said in America was totally wrong in launching an aggression against Iraq. Iraq defined an Italian as Flight Captain Mario Bertoloni, age 35. He's quoted as saying that he's in good health and been treated by his captors very well. Iraqi television said that the pilots stand aircraft included an A-6 Intruder, a Tornado, and an OV-10 Bronco reconnaissance plane. There are no indication when the interviews were filmed. General Norman Schwarzkopf, U.S. commander of the Operation Desert Storm, told CBS television yesterday that he suspected Iraq and had at least 2 American prisoners of war. Lieutenant Nicol, parents John and Catherine Nicol, had been waiting anxiously for news since he was reported missing. They said last night there had been no official confirmation of his appearance on television. We are just going to wait to find out what's going on in his father. Said Brian and Kate Peters, parents of Lieutenant Peters, have been waiting for news at their home in Petersfield, Hampshire. His mother said, "Last time we've been advised not to get our hopes up. We are waiting until someone who actually knows that John has seen it." The young pastor's wife, Helen, and children, Guy, age 2 and 25 months, are being confronted by other housewives at RAF in Laberch, Germany. Our prisoner of war would be treated humanely only if the government officially recognized that they're missing. Iraq's ambassador to France, Abdul Razak al-Hashimi, said yesterday.
Called out the outlaws and the shield. Was it career suicide? And just what stood there.
5 people were killed and 9 injured in shooting last night as military commandos loaded Moscow and communist hardliners turned central weekend to a battlefield. The commandos, the leader, seized control of Latvia's inter-ministry building and the headquarters of the police who served the Baltic Republic elected government. The violence sparked the news stage and efforts of pro-Moscow conservative politicians and security forces to subdue the pro-independence administration of Antonescu Majority, Latvian president. The dead included 2 policemen and a Latvian television journalist, 2 television cameramen, 1 Russian and 1 Finnish. Heard in an hour-long gun battle in the city's main square, dominated by a monument to Latvian freedom. The The operation was carried out by the choice Oman paramilitary units alleged by Latvian officials to answer directly to the orders of Alfred Rubiks, the Republic's old guard Communist Party chief, and enjoy encouragement from some elements within the KGB. Heavy automatic fire and a repeated single shot resounded throughout the square. Tracer bullets streak across the night sky as the Republic took place.